Welcome to On the Kerbs. I'm your host, Team Albus Daily. This week I'm joined by Becca Taylor for a follow-up interview. I interviewed Becca a few weeks back about her entry into the Formula Woman competition. You can check out that interview in full over on Drive Tribe through the link in this video's description. But we thought it'd be fun to catch up again and chat a little bit about cars, travelling, the best type of cheese, and Becca's unique way of eating toast. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi Becca, thank you for being here today. First of all, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are you?
Not too bad, thanks. I want to start off and ask you, what's your earliest racing memory?
My earliest racing memory? Well, I mean, my very first actual go on track was only about a year ago. So not too long ago.
I was thinking maybe either you racing or just from having seen racing, whichever.
Again, not that long ago. Okay. Yeah, I was always into cars and the idea of motorsport since being young. My dad was into cars, so I grew up with that. But he was never watching the F1. We didn't have Sky or anything, so we never got the opportunity to watch it. And when I did get the opportunity a couple of years ago with Drive to Survive on Netflix, that was my first introduction into sort of the world of motorsport and proper professional racing. So like I say, even though I've been into motorsport and cars for a long time, my first introduction to racing wasn't really that long ago.
Finally meeting the people who got into sport based off Drive to Survive. It's interesting, you're all coming out of the woodwork now.
Definitely, it's fantastic. I think because it connects you more than just cars going around the track, you've got the story of the drivers and the teams and everything like that. Like you really connect with everything, and you're watching these people who you feel like you know, rather than just like
it's all about that access and feeling like you know them, and then once that's there, you're automatically hooked then.
Definitely, and then you're watching every race, and you support who you're supporting isn't just based off whether they're good or whether they're British or anything like that. It's actually based because you like them as a person.
It makes my job harder because I try to be neutral with stuff, and that doesn't work anymore.
I know, but it's really difficult.
So talk about Silverstone, don't mention it.
It's kind of one of those topics that's best just to kind of let loose a little bit.
So based off that then, do you have a favourite racing driver?
At the moment, this season, it's definitely been Lando Norris.
I'm
quite a fan. I love Max. I think Max is fantastic, but I think Lando's just proven himself dramatically this year. I mean, you can see with the stats, he's been the only driver to score every single race. He's not done any damage to his car, and he's come from sort of this young, sort of immature rookie to this year really flourishing and sort of stepping up. Like when everyone thought it'd be Lando and Daniel, they thought Daniel would be sort of the main driver, Lando in second, and it's completely switched around. And I think it's been like the dark horse almost.
I'm saying it's one of those things. He's not had bad seasons by any stretch of imagination, but it's just the level of improvement this year has just been off the scale. It's just like, what the hell has happened here? He stops drinking milk one year, and then look what happens.
Definitely, he's come back this season, and God knows what he did over the break, but it's definitely worked.
And so some of the other drivers might want to be taking notes from him to see on what he did do in the off season, and it's like, right, we need to do that now.
I know, definitely. I think with Max and Red Bull, I think that's more Red Bull's improved the car more than Max has improved dramatically as a driver. But everyone else is kind of...
So with Lando, you get the kind of feeling that if you did give him a bit of a dud car, he'd still do a decent job with it, kind of like Alonso used to when McLaren weren't doing so well. So he'd be doing what George is doing in moment, essentially.
Definitely.
Question that is nowhere in any way related to motorsport at all. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or a duck-sized horse? Or a horse-sized duck, rather. I'm getting that. I'm more confused.
I'm going to go with 100 duck-sized horses because you can stand on them a little bit more, whereas a massive duck would be quite scary in its wings.
You don't fancy a one-on-one fight with that, no?
No, not quite. I think I'd definitely get sort of knocked out by its wing quite easily or pecked. If ducks pecked her as they are, so imagine a massive one, it would be really painful.
Game over.
Yeah, definitely.
What weird food combinations do you really enjoy?
One everyone seems to take the mick out of me for is I like cold toast and then you butter it. So the butter doesn't melt into the bread. You kind of have like your toast, you let it cool a little bit so your butter doesn't make the bread all soggy. So you still got the crispy toastiness and the enjoyableness of the butter.
I mean, Is that a hangover cure that you just developed, or is that just
just I don't like
a regular? Fair enough.
Yeah.
So there's me thinking of all these random foods you could stick together, and you've just gone for a slightly different version of toast or butter there. So it's like, no one's going to see that. There's a good tagline for it. You never guess what she does to toast.
I know. Everyone takes the mick out of me for it. My boyfriend constantly goes, he goes, "You just eat it wrong." I'm like, "No, I don't. It tastes better. I promise you."
I might have to try it. See if you're. I'll try it ahead of whenever this goes out, and then I'll say, I'll put a little note and saying, "Nah, she is nuts."
Just a little bit.
Do you have a favourite car film?
I must say Ford versus Ferrari, the Le Mans 24 Hours. We went to the cinema in Peterborough actually to watch that. So we had the big screen, the really good speakers, and it just felt so almost immersive, like you were sat in the seat with them. And I think the way they did the videography and it was just fantastic, and it really sort of enticed you in as one of the drivers almost. And it was a really good film, and obviously it was so close to real life that it was quite nice to really connect with it.
And so I think after Rush, we weren't sure how they could top that in some ways, but they kind of did in a different way, just by not going with the Formula One route and just going for a different bit of motorsport. It just, as you say, it was just everything about it was just really well done. And the race, I feel like in those, you kind of have two scales on car films. You either have like the Fast and Furious side of it, or you've got the Le Mans 66 side of it. So it's, but even then, it's so difficult to nail the cars in those, especially when they're racing. So they did a terrific job with that. So I can fully back your decision for that one.
Definitely, it was a really enjoyable film as well. It wasn't just a film where if you like cars, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It was a good film overall as well.
And so the casting was
spot on, definitely. Even in Rush, the casting in that was.
That's true. I was going to say the likeness to them as well in both films as well. It just kind of helps that credibility as well, because you really believe it was Chris Hemsworth or Christian Bale doing the ones driving.
Definitely.
If you could race on one track with one car, which combination would you choose?
Ooh, I'd have to go. I'm going to go a Lotus Exige 430 Cup.
A Lotus, there's a surprise.
Just, I'm very predictable, aren't I? Just because I just love Lotus. I love the roarity of the drive, and I'd like to do Spa. And I think because Spa is such an open track, you wouldn't want an Elise where it's like lacking in the power. So I think the Exige 430 would be that nice combination of handling and power for a track like that.
So it's theoretically in my head, it sounds and looks very nice to watch. So I can.
Definitely.
It's always interesting seeing who chooses the track necessarily more than the car, because you've got some of the classic tracks like Spa and Silverstone and these kind of places, and it's interesting to see how many people always do choose those ones when there's so many around. It's I mean, not that you can fault it, because it's what's the funniest joke you know off by heart?
Oh God.
I'm throwing the curveballs at you now.
Dad jokes my dad's told me over the years in my head, and they're all a bit rude, so it's hard to say.
Oh, you can say anything on this one, it's fine. I'll find a way to bleep if it's really bad.
I always remember the one he told me. It's a bit of a story one, where he says there is a nun having a shower, and she gets a knock at the door, and she shouts, "Who is it?" And he replies, "The blind man." So she thinks, "Oh, he's blind, that's fine, I'll just quickly nip down and let him in." So she poddles off down to open the door, and he goes, "Oh, nice pair of tits, where do you want your blinds fitting?"
I thought that might be the best.
It's one of the jokes that Dad's come home with from work once, and I will always remember it, and it's terrible but hilarious at the same time.
I like that though. It's simple yet.
Yeah.
No, so I'm spoiled for choice on titles of the video now. I've got Toast, Nuns. What more do I need? If you were leader of the world, which car would you drive? I've got a couple of options if you want them, or you're going to go for a Lotus again.
Definitely. I think if you cut me open, I'd just bleed Lotus colours pretty much. Again, I've never had a car that's been so enjoyable to drive. And they look fantastic as well. So I think if you're getting out at some big posh meeting, you got to look the part as well.
And so if you end up in charge of the world, everyone can be driving Lotuses, and there'll be just giant Lotus statues everywhere.
Definitely, and everyone would have to drive them properly as well. Like if you can't drive it properly, you can't have a driving
in
license.
the gulag.
Yeah, definitely.
If you could go on a motoring adventure, say like the Grand Tour or anything like similar to that, what would you choose as, where would you choose to go?
I think a tour through Europe would be really good fun, just because, especially like in Italy and places like that, there's so many nice areas to go visit, but the roads as well are fantastic. You get some incredible sights. Not many speed cameras is always positive compared to the UK. But yeah, some of the scenes that you see, especially like say on Grand Tour and Top Gear, that they get to experience through sort of European cities and stuff is just phenomenal. And I think it'd just be such an amazing experience.
So I wasn't planning on asking, but I'm now just intrigued of my own stuff because you mentioned it a little bit now. What is it about Lotus you love so much?
I think I first drove a Lotus when my partner was looking at buying one. So he did the half a morning test day.
Went on the reverse thing there, didn't it? You've had enough completely instead of the other way around.
Definitely. So yeah, so he had an M4 before, and he went on this test day as a birthday present in Hethel, and he came back and he was instantly looking at Lotuses and like, I'm selling my M4, I'm getting a Lotus. I was like, oh, don't be stupid. I'd never heard of them. And this was only a couple of years ago. And when we went to go test drive one, I know, it's crazy. When we went to test drive one, he said, look, have a go and you'll understand what I mean. And that's where it's kind of the penny dropped, because you've got no power steering, they're so light, the handling's fantastic. It's such a small cockpit, but it's so driver's focused. I went from a automatic 2 Series BMW to a Mini and then to a Lotus, but the difference in driving, the BMW was like
quite a transition there.
Yeah, and the Lotus, it makes you a better driver as well, and that's what I love about it, because you can't just switch off while you're driving. You have to drive them properly, and it does make you a better driver in yourself as well. And it's just so much fun. I don't think I've ever had such fun driving to the shops just to go get some milk or something, or my toast, or bread for my toast. But
you're the one always volunteering. I say, oh, you need to go to get something from. I'll do it. No worry. 5 minutes.
Definitely, it's just so much fun. Apart from getting in and out, it's a bit of a pain in the backside, but compromise, don't you?
I'm always sticking one of those James Bond ejector seats to just push you out nicely.
That's actually quite a good idea. I think that would do really well in the Lotus community as an invention.
Next Bond film, anyone listening, there you go, sorted.
Definitely.
Becca will drive it for you. Do you think then that you're saying making you a better driver by driving those, that that'll give you some kind of advantage when you're going into the Formula Woman stuff?
I mean, I think it's helped with my awareness and understanding of a car. Like I said, there's no power steering, so you feel everything the car is doing. So it's really helped develop the understanding of what you do and how it implements onto the car, and what the car's doing, how to correct it as well. But the assessment car actually got released today, and it is a polar opposite to the Lotus. It is a Vauxhall Corsa E. So whether it's actually going to help me or not, we'll soon find out. We're going from a little supercharged petrol 2-seater sports car to a hot hatch electric. It's going to be a good challenge for sure.
I'm just putting the foot down. Where's the power gone?
I think that's the difference when you drive, because they're supercharged. You put your foot down, the power's there instantly, regardless of what gear you're in most of the time. And then we go and drive a turbocharged car. We've got a Golf GTI as well. And you put your foot down, you're like waiting for the turbo to kick in sometimes. It's a bit of a pain, but we're spoiled with a supercharger for definite.
So you might feel a little bit like starring a reasonably priced car there, just like, come on.
Although that's so much fun. I think when you haven't got all the power, you can pretty much drag it round and really push the car to its limit. Whereas when you've got that bit more power, if it's on a tighter track, you're a little bit more cautious and aware of what's going on. Whereas I think in like a hot hatch, you can really push the car to its full limits and not be too sort of worried of what any circumstances might cause.
So you can get them to record your time in the car, then we watch it back and we'll use the old Top Gear trick there. If you look slow, then you're probably going at lightning pace.
That's always the case. If it looks fast, it never really is that fast on Top Gear.
Unless it's Tom Cruise, in which case it's just a nutter, but
that's true.
It goes with the territory.
Has that had it on 2 wheels?
I think so, yeah. That seems like the kind of thing he would have done. Got it over the line, that's the main
thing. Cars in one piece.
So that'd be a memorable way for you to do something for you to do in the competition there, just 2 wheels over the years. Like, yeah, I got this, no problem.
Make good TV.
You're there for the full package, right? Finally then, important question. What is the best type of cheese?
Cheese. Applewood.
Oh, there was no hesitation there whatsoever. You knew that.
Not at all. I love applewood cheese, especially like if you have a barbecue, pork and caramelized onion sausages, bit of salad and applewood cheese. Perfect combination.
You know what? It's the right weather for a barbecue the next couple of days. I might just have to try that.
Definitely. I was going to say, it's quite cloudy here, but it's still quite warm. So hopefully they'll move off soon and can get outside and enjoy a bit of blue skies and sunshine.
So typical British summer.
Pretty much. We had 2 days of sun and then it rains the rest of the summer.
One year.
One day we'll have a nice summer.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, Becca. I want to wish you the best of luck for the Formula Woman competition, which the test for that is September, if I'm remembering correctly? Or
my one's November. There is one's in September.
November.
November, yeah. I'm waiting a little bit longer.
more time to try and find a Vauxhall, and then you can get a bit of testing in with that, maybe.
Exactly. More time to prepare. It's tactical.
Well, as I say, wish you best of luck, and I shall speak to you again soon.
Right, thank you, and thank you for having me.
It's always fun chatting with Becca, and I can say that after trying out her toast eating method, it's not half bad. But I'll let you judge for yourself, and you can let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to thank her again for coming onto the show, and I wish her the best of luck for the upcoming Formula Woman competition. Join me again soon, when I'll be chatting to another famous face from the world of motorsport. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and check out the other videos on the On the Kerbs YouTube channel. Away from YouTube, you can find me over on DriveTribe, and feel free to follow me on Instagram at t.albers.daily.drivetribe. You can also find me over on GB Grandstand TV, where I'm part of their weekly podcast. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next week for the next episode.